I guess it's fair to say that the encounter between Francis and the Sultan did not change history. It's a story, though, and stories can be powerful. It's a true story. And I think it says to us today that if the Sultan and Francis could be civil to each other and respect each other and friendly to each other in the midst of a really gruesome war, we should be able to, do the same and more.
Project, we came up with the idea of the census. Remember the census? Remember all the excitement around that and being counted? Well, we all came up with the idea of doing an interfaith census training. So we brought some volunteers together from St. Francis of Assisi Food Pantry, from the Highbridge Mobile Food Pantry, which is also run by Catholic Charities, and from the food pantry, the Highbridge Community Food Pantry of the Muslim Women's Institute for Research and Development. These were all in the Highbridge area, so we also had the benefit of the fact that these folks were neighbors. They had many, many common challenges that they were all facing together. So we had an interfaith training. We had some presentations by members of the different faiths explaining how our faiths teach us to deal with the hungry. And then we had the census training. And we ate. And we sat down together. And we rubbed elbows. And it was a very small experience. It was not grand. I didn't get the sense that there was a lot of enlightenment going on. But I did see people sitting calmly together, elbow to elbow, and listening intently. And I felt that everyone walked away enjoying the experience. We took one day to see if any of my youth groups would be interested in working together on a project with Muslim youth. Knowing the teams that I work with, I automatically said yes, and that I would have to check with them and their advisors because it was right around the anniversary of 9/11, and there were some teams that lost their parents in that tragedy. Well, when I met the youth groups and put it out there for their discussion, the adults that were involved with these teams were not happy about it. Not happy at all. They were very resistant and very negative and said they were not going to let their group participate in it at all. At this point, some of the teams said that they feel that they were not being Christians if we didn't give them a try and let them work with the group themselves on a project that would benefit the needs of all. They felt that as Catholics they are taught to get along with others and work together, so that they felt that if they didn't take the project on, they were being hypocritical. It was also decided that anyone who was interested would meet at the CYO Center in Port Richmond, which is a very poor socioeconomic area on Staten Island, to meet with the Imam and the Muslim youth. In our first meeting, there were approximately 6 youth from each faith. The Imam, Father Micah Martini from St. Joseph's Parish, Sarah from Interfaith, and Matt from Interfaith, and Tom Dobbins, Lord's Ferrer, and George Horton from Catholic Charities, and myself. Excuse me, I've had a cough for quite a while now. There was an introduction, and I did an icebreaker with each of the youth. I had gotten a roll of toilet paper and passed it around and asked each youth member to take as many sheets of toilet paper as they would like. They had no idea what they were going to be doing with it. At that point, after they all had taken the toilet paper sheets off, I told them what we were going to do. And we were going to explain, they were going to talk about themselves. And for each sheet of toilet paper that they had to tell everybody in the group something about themselves. Well, it went on for quite a while, and there were a lot of laughs and nervousness, but they all learned about each other. And they also learned that they had a lot of things in common. They decided that we met a few times, and in speaking, they decided that they would like to learn about each other's religion and also work on a project together that would benefit people in need. It was decided that the group would first go to the mosque, and the Catholic youth would visit the mosque and learn a little bit about the Muslim faith. They would also learn the upkeep of the mosque. So, and the next meeting, the next step of the project would be that the following month, the Muslim youth would visit a Catholic church. So since Father Michael was from St. Joseph's, we went to St. Joseph's. And there the Muslim youth would learn about the Catholic faith, and they would also do something in the upkeep of the church. When they went to the mosque, some of the parents were very hesitant about leaving their children, leaving their youth with me and Father Michael at the mosque. So we asked the imam whether he would be comfortable with having the parents stay, and he was very gracious in permitting this. It was truly an eye-opener and a sort of a breakthrough with the adults as they listened to the imam explain the Muslim religion, and also to see how the youth could communicate and work together. The imam explained that not all Muslims think and act in the awful way that the terrorists who attacked the United States on 9/11. He said that we were all put on this earth to do for others, for the good of mankind. I began to see the adults ask questions and listen attentively, and also see how the youth had no problem communicating and working together. I was grateful for this because the youth proved to the adults that as Christians we need to be acceptable to others and need to work together for the good of mankind.
Joined to organize an immigration seminar at our location at 46 Edgecombe Avenue, and it was a success on many fronts, because not only it was beneficial to our members, in fact, as we are making the transition from an immigrant community to a nationality in the American society, we go through many challenging steps. So it's always beneficial for us to have an expert speak to our base and explain to them what their rights are and what the benefits they can get from it. And also, in another way, it was beautiful, because beyond those religion lines, we saw how people can get together and see what can be done for a human need. So it was a success in all lines. And what I can just say is that after all that, we are looking forward to, we reaffirm our determination and look forward for relationship with the Interfaith Center. Thank you.
Nothing really surprised me. Nothing really surprised me in this partnership. But I learned that we had one common denominator, was to serve, you know, and I really enjoy, you know, the company of my partnership, because they showed me different aspects of their faith base, as well as I showed them ours.
I can start. I guess a lot of us are familiar with that map of New York City that makes New York City seem huge and the rest of the United States seem this big. And now for me, the community of Highbridge is, in my mind, is mapped out, and I know where Nora's Pantry is, and I know where our programs are, and I just see the community of Highbridge so differently, and I think that my sense of the shared struggle is so much stronger as a result of that. And I think some of the volunteers share that, but I also think that we have just started to make inroads, and we have a lot further to go on that. So I don't want to pat ourselves on the back too soon, but we're starting to make inroads.
This is incredibly necessary work to be done, and it is work that is incredibly difficult. The reality is that putting together these various projects was not easy. And it was not easy because of the very different groups that were part of them.
Our youth, they were amazed by readiness of brothers from the CYO, or the leaders of the church or the center, or the youth of CYO, as well as the parents. We were welcomed in the church, in the Catholic center, as well. We served needy of the Staten Islanders, regardless their race, gender, or religion.
In the Islamic tradition, we have a saying that says, poverty is akin to disbelief. When people cannot meet their basic needs, the issue of faith and conversations about faith and the hereafter are irrelevant. So our priority should be to help people meet their basic needs. The project that we did on this collaboration was centered around our hunger relief, food security work. And I knew Ginny before because we both sit on the agency advisory committee for the food bank for New York City. Where she should listen. If we're going to have a conversation, if we're just going to have a dialogue, I'm out. I don't want to talk about any, the dialogue thing is just really not a place of connect for me. I often see it as a place where men get together to discuss theology, whose God is bigger, whose God is better, not interested. Women have historically done interfaith work. Women of faith have identified needs in their communities and figured out ways to meet those needs working across our faith traditions. And that is something I wish and I encourage women to hold on. That we have a history of interfaith, but it is not dialogue. It is about work.
That's one of the, again, the reasons why I'm very happy to see this relationship developing. We've served people from all communities since our inception. We never turn away somebody because they're of a different faith or a different ethnic background, different race. Of course not. But the difference is our mission at Catholic Charities is to serve everybody with dignity and respect. And that's where I'm really looking forward to this relationship developing, because for us to be able to serve everybody with dignity and respect, it's important for us to understand our cultural differences and what may be appropriate or inappropriate in certain contexts. What it would be very helpful, I think, for all of us, obviously for me and my staff in our work, but I think for all of our communities in general, to know each other better and to understand how we can communicate in our world today, here in America, 21st century, in a way that's respectful and that benefits everybody. Thank you very much.
We have the same structures in terms of a national charity entity. I mean, some things have emerged. There's Islamic Relief USA, but they're fairly new kids on the block, and they're still trying to figure it out. And so an organization like the Muslim Women's Institute has some very unique challenges. We're fully transparent. We meet all of the documentation requirements, 501c3, New York State Charity, 0 registration, 990 up on the website, Guide Star registration, all of that other stuff for folks in the philanthropic world that you understand. We do all of that, but we are a local, community-based organization. And what that has done for us in terms of a challenge is that we have this international, in many instances, presence, because you Google Muslim Women's Organization and we kind of come up number one. But then we get to the capacity piece, and this is what I was talking about earlier in terms of needing a real asset in terms of real estate and stuff to take us into that other phase. Because we're small. Our office is 625 square feet. But what is the word I'm looking for? We fend or field questions from all over the world. And that
kind of spirit, my role is basically to tell you what is done in New York does not stay in New York alone. It goes beyond New York. It has national implications. It has international implications. At a time when there is so much of despair, so much of disappointment, so many conflicts, confrontations around the world. So it is this kind of small groups that generate hope, optimism, and that give us. I was born and Sarah was going to school here in America. Nobody knew that Muslims have a month of Ramadan, that we have to fast during the month. So we had to go to her teachers, our children, my children, we had to go to their teachers to tell them that this is the month of Ramadan, because our children will not be going to eat during the day. So today things have changed. I am coming from Washington. My office is on the Capitol Hill. Ramadan is a month that is celebrated in Washington, D.C., from White House to State Department to other departments. Everyone has a. Initially we were struggling how Ramadan will become part of the American English vocabulary. But before Ramadan could have become a part of American vocabulary, another word became much more popular, that was iftar, breaking the fast. So everyone is organizing iftars in America today. People know faith is, we are together defining America as a pluralist democracy. It's a new dimension. People cannot even think in many of those countries that Catholics and Muslims together were here for a whole day, not talking about the controversial issues, but trying to build bridges, coming closer, creating a new reality where Muslims, Christians, and Jews together will be able to redefine the lifestyle in those countries away from the dictatorship that they have had for generations now. This will continue
to be an optimist, but I'm also a realist because I want things to succeed. It's wonderful to see best practices. It's wonderful to see people in the metropolitan area working together. I was very enthused about Vatican II. I was very proud of how American non-Muslims responded after September 11th. But around 2008, something happened. I'm not sure what, but it makes me temper my, not my optimism, but my enthusiasm. It's, what you were doing is extremely important, but do it strategically. Know why you were doing it so that you can sell that to people who don't buy into it, because we are very naive if we think that everyone in our society believes in what we are doing here.